Alhamdulillah. So time flies so quickly. Now is our sixth lecture. We have not touched much yet, but Alhamdulillah, I think last week was a heavy lecture by Prof. We discussed about pen and script. So all civilization have strong tradition of script and writing. So that's very true. And Alhamdulillah, we are so blessed by Allah that our tradition in Quran is so rooted that we can always refer to it compared to other tradition, other civilization, other religion. Prof mentioned about 7 purposes of literary composition: intention, interpretational, correction, elaboration, arrangement, on improvement, literary criticism, and abridgment. So Prof mentioned about education must be gradual. Teacher must be giving a picture of the discipline, preparedness. Teacher lead the student for third time. So there's a mention also.
Correct.
So I think there are a few other things that are very important that Prof mentioned, inshallah. So this encourages us to read more about Ibn Khaldun. Prof have shed some light to us. So for us who want to know more, we should read more. And abundant of material actually on us. So without further ado, we invite our dear Prof to continue with the 6th lecture.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
And a very good evening. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Ashrafil Anbiya wal Mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahu wa nasarahu ila yaumiddin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Alhamdulillah wa syukrulillah. We given another opportunity to meet again and to continue our readings on Ibn Khaldun, or discussions on Ibn Khaldun epistemological scheme. Last week, as Brother Shahran mentioned just now, I was explaining, I was trying to explain what Ibn Khaldun mentioned in Muqaddimah about the pedagogy, the education, and the tradition, and of course the continuity of education, which is essential in ensuring the progress of a civilization or development of a civilization. And of course, the discussion was long, but we can only touch, in a very short, summarized manner. Of course, in 1 hour lecture, but I hope that will open another probably window to go into a deeper analysis of Ibn Khaldun. Depending on one's interest. If you're interested in education, you might study the thought of Ibn Khaldun in education. If you are interested in language, you might probably study theory of language in Ibn Khaldun's epistemological scheme. It depends on what interest that we have. For today's lecture, which is number 6, in the series of this lecture. We have another, probably the one lecture after this. I will try to wrap up or to conclude my lecture, inshallah, in the next meeting. Yeah. Today is about the language and literature. Actually, in chapter 6 of the Muqaddimah, we have a few sections or a few sub-chapters on language and literature. Ibn Khaldun was trying to explain the importance and the position of language and literature as far as his epistemological scheme is concerned. And of course, he begin with the division or categorization or groupings of the science and knowledge into two divisions. The first one is the science and knowledge that are wanted per se. Just the translation of al-ulum al-maqsudah bizat, the knowledge that is in itself a subject matter, knowledge wanted per se. And the other category is the science which is put in the category of instrumental or auxiliary. Ulum al-alat, ulumu alat wa wasira. So that is the terminology used by Ibn Khaldun. One is knowledge that is required or wanted per se as a subject matter in itself, and the other category is instrumental or auxiliary. Alat or wasila. Ulum al-alat. In Malay, we also call it ilmu alat. Ilmu alat. Ulum al-alat. And language in this context is placed in the category of auxiliary sciences. So vis-a-vis the sciences that are wanted per se. So these two categories. And well, although it is important, but as far as Ibn Khaldun put it in his scheme of epistemology, it is put under the category of auxiliary sciences. And of course, his discussion, we have to remember that his discussion is in the context of the culture and civilization of Islam. He was trying to see, the position of language in the context of culture and civilization of Islam. Of course, he was talking about Arabic language, which to him as a identical or significant in the physical and spiritual life of a Muslim, because Arabic is part of our life actually. Whether we like it or not, we have to use Arabic, at least in our prayer, at least in our reading of the Quran. We need to be familiar with Arabic, although some of us might not be mastering the language as a language, but we have to be familiar with Arabic because we read Quran. The Quran is in Arabic. So therefore, Arabic, as far as Muslim and Muslim civilization is concerned, it is part of us, part of our life. It is part of our culture. So this is why Ibn Khaldun pay a special attention on the position of Arabic. Although in a specific context of the culture and civilization of Islam. And this is because, as I mentioned just now, that it is almost, or in many ways, the Arabic language is identical with Islam. And it plays a very significant and essential role in the physical as well as in the spiritual life of the Muslim. And of course, Ibn Khaldun takes us to exploring deep into the vast world of Arabic language. Because we know Arabic language has already been an established language. Even before the coming of Islam. During the Jahili time, Arabic language was already an established language. And he was touching almost every important aspect of the language, from the simple definition to the complicated or an abstract concept, and from the lowest level of the basic level spoken language to the level of luxury craft of the language, that is literary productions of poetry and prose. So because language, as we know that, in fact, Ibn Khaldun also, tried to explain the level of language in the society. The lowest level of language is, of course, a spoken language, the daily life, daily use of language. But that is another level of language that you can use it for expressing something or a complicated knowledge using the same language. And of course, the higher level is the level of what he called as luxury craft. Luxury craft. That I think that skill only belongs to a certain people or certain scholars who have the who has the ability to master the language in a very high level. And of course, he also discussed the theoretical and social aspect of the language that we may probably learn from this discussion. And of course, if I see language now, there is another level, lower level of language that we use in our WhatsApp or our short messages. That is the lower level of language. Why he tried to to present this in a very systematic manner, trying to discuss sciences that is in the language, such as grammar, lexicography, syntax, style, and of course literature. Apart from that, he also discussed the development of the language and the development of the higher level of language, which he called it taste. The development of linguistic taste, a dhawq in Arabic, a dhawq. And of course, he also discussed about the literary composition in the form of poetry and prose. Yeah. And this auxiliary science is very important as far as Ibn Khaldun's epistemology is concerned, because we can only communicate knowledge through the right expression, which is language, yeah? or symbol for that matter. Yeah? So only a person who have got a good command of a language, who can communicate his knowledge, yeah, to others through that particular language. Arabic language basically consists of 4 pillars or arkan. This is what Ibn Khaldun want us to understand. 4 pillars or 4 arkan or rukun, yeah? Rukun or arkan. Those pillars are, he mentioned here, a lexicography or a lugha, grammar and nahu, syntax, style, al-bayan, and literature or adab. And as a language of Islam, or an official language of Islam, Arabic, yeah, in which the Quran was revealed, we all know that Arabic play a vital role, and it is a paramount importance in the life of Muslim. We also realize that the Quran and the Sunnah are 2 major sources of religious teaching or religious law. And of course, initially, both were transmitted and written in Arabic. Of course, now we can read other language, translation from the Arabic. But we cannot deny the fact that the volumes, abundant of materials, golden age of Islam, the height of Muslim civilization, all those books and literature were written in Arabic. So therefore, knowledge in Arabic is something so paramount, so essential for anyone who wants to acquire knowledge of Islam or Islamic laws or Islamic teaching for that matter. The transmitters from among the Prophet's companion and the followers from the 2nd generation are including Arabs and non-Arabs, because when Islam spread all over the places, there are people who are not Arab embrace Islam, and then they have to learn Arabic as well, and they are foreigners. They are to Arab. Then Arabic language is not their mother tongue. So therefore, yeah, so for Ibn Khaldun, in Islamic education, language, Arabic language is a must. It has to be included, or it has to be part of the curriculum for Muslim that have to go. At least we acquire or we know the basic knowledge about Arabic. Okay. We try to see a little bit of explanation given by Ibn Khaldun on the pillars of Arab. We are not learning Arabic here. We are trying to understand what Ibn Khaldun says about the position and the importance of language. It is basically, we might say, what do you call it, psychological part of language, the psychology of language, things like that. Ibn Khaldun recognized that grammar is the most important part of Arabic language, or perhaps he says of any other language, grammar is important. Well, language is in his opinion, in his view, is the expression of the intention of a speaker. What we have in mind, so we express it in the right manner, in the right language, so that people can understand it. Of course, it involves the act of speaking, or tongue, for that matter, which interpret the intention to convey the meaning of speech. We have something in mind. We want to communicate what is inside our mind to others, so that we use language. And it is very important that we use a proper ways of expression in language. Otherwise, people might understand different what we have in mind. That is called miscommunication. We want to communicate something else, and people understand something else. So, well, it involves the act of the tongue, and which interpret the intention to convey the meaning of speech. From this point of view, literature in language is an established habit in the part of the body that produce it, namely the tongue. That's why it is called lisan, ulum, lisan al-Arab. So lisan is tongue. So he used this a phrase, ulum lisan al-Arab. This is, for Ibn Khaldun, is the basic theory of language. Although this statement might be very brief, but it is significant, because it gives us a clear point of departure that Ibn Khaldun tried to set the frame of his thought. Of course, he's not trying to engage in the long debate about the theory of language, but he's trying to tell us what he see, in the society. What he means to do here is to show a clear frame of reference for the physical and psychological and as well as the sociological aspect of language. And this can be, can be applied in any other society, yeah? Because every nation has its own particular or peculiar language, yeah? Or any civilization for that matter have their own peculiar language of their own. Yeah? Of course, the formation of language takes place in the according to the experience and the socialization and the culture of that particular society. And of course, Ibn Khaldun also claimed that of all the language that he knows, yeah, Arabic is the best. Arabic is the best language. Yeah? Of course, we know that he himself was an Arab, yeah, by born. Yeah? He was born as an Arab. His parents was from Yemen, was an Arab. Yeah? And but he tried to give his argument to say that Arabic is the best. The reason was, he said, it's because of the unique character of Arabic language itself. And he further argued that, I further explained that, the uniqueness of Arabic. He said, for example, Arabic needs only one letter to indicate the intended meaning in a definite manner, whereas other languages need a word. So this is one of the specialties in Arab. Of course, in Arab you have only one letter, for example, lam, yeah, that give a definite meaning. Yeah? Whereas other language might need a word to express that the same meaning. So also the vowel of inflection, harakat, al-harakat, and the position, al-awda wal-hay'a. And these special features are peculiar to Arabic only. And in this respect, Ibn Khaldun says Arabic is more comprehensive and shorter in speech and words than as compared to other language. And this argument, as he explained, is in agreement with a prophetic tradition. One of the hadiths here, he put one of the hadiths here, which means, I was given the most comprehensive words and speech was made short for me. So this is one of the hadiths that Ibn Khaldun pick up. However, as he goes on, discussing the development of language, he also bring up another issue: the process of corruption in Arabic language. There was a process of what he called as corruption in a language. This is the result of intercultural factors, the interaction with foreign cultures that lead to this situation. In the course of time, of course, Islam has expanded beyond the geographical and cultural boundaries of the Arab. And we know that if we read the history of the Muslim society, then we know that it has expanded beyond the boundaries of the Arab. And of course, this process gives the Arab the opportunity to come into contact and interact with other non-Arab nations. And this process, this interaction gradually resulted in a change of linguistic habit. As we know that some of the North African countries where they were non-Arab before, now it become Arabized. And then the Arabic language began to be corrupted. He saw that process, and this phenomenon is for Ibn Khaldun is not good. It's detrimental. It made cultured people worried that the linguistic habit among the Arabs would become entirely corrupted because of that. And the Quran and the tradition would no longer be understood in their original form. So that's so worried of the corruption, because Quran Sunnah was Quran was revealed, and the Sunnah was written based on the old language of Arabic language. He was worried that the Quran and tradition would no longer be understood or in form. It is for this reason that they felt that the norms and rules of Arabic language needed to be formulated. Because of that, something needs to be done. As a result, they came up with certain general basic principles, such as subject with this is language. This U ending al fa'il marfu', and of course with A ending al maf'ul mansub. For those who learn Arabic, they will know this rule in Arabic. Fa'il marfu' or maf'ul mansub. The subject is a nominal sentence, and of course, with this rule, the meaning of the word change in accordance with the vowel change. So that is the importance of this rule, so that we know the actual meaning of the intended meaning. And the technical term of this rule is i'rab. In Arabic, i'rab is also important to be able to understand the right meaning of the sentence. And things that are necessitate a change of meaning are called amil, so an agent, and so on and so forth. This has been set down in writing, and it has become a particular craft by itself, a discipline, knowledge by itself. That is called, that is known as grammar or nahu, Arabic. Okay. And he also, write something about the the development of Arabic grammar, and he mentioned a few names here. A few names. Some of us might be familiar with some of these names, like Abul Aswad Ad-Duali, and the other great contributors towards the establishment of grammar, like Al-Khalil bin Ahmad Al-Farahidi and Sibawai. Most of us know who is Sibawai. Abul Qasim Al-Zajjaj and others. And he also mentioned the following generation of grammarians that occupied themselves formulating a brief method of studying grammar. And he mentioned scholars like Ibn Malik, who wrote Kitab At-Tashil, and of course Zamakhshari, who wrote Tafsir Zamakhshari, and others. Well, next he discussed about the science of lexicography. This science or lexicography or al-mulugha is also developed as a direct reaction of the corruption of Arabic language. For Ibn Khaldun, this science is the one that concerned with explaining the meaning of the words of language. Because of the intercultural connection or interaction with non-Arab, eventually, the meaning of the words has changed. That is what he was worried before. The situation has resulted in many of the Arabic words being no longer used in their original and proper meaning. So, well, in the course of time, of course, language has changed. Actually, in any language, will process of time and the influence of other language. We have also Malay diaspora, Malays who live in Sri Lanka, for example. They speak Malay, but the way they speak and the meanings of what we normally use in here, that they have changed because of time. Up task of writing systematic works on the subject. also mention here some of the figures, important things, and also the position of, in tartib, makhraj. And this one is followed by the science of syntax and or ilm al-bayan for that matter. Ilm al-bayan is concerned with words and ideas that are to become, and Ibn Khaldun also remind us the uniqueness of the Arabic style of expression. It's another special character of Arabic language. The Arabic language is vast, and the Arab have a particular types of expression for a particular situation, for a particular situation, in addition to the perfect use of vowel ending and clarity. So this is ilm al-bayan, syntax style. He gives some examples of this two different expressions, which are of two different types, which give two different impression. Two different impression. In Arabic, he made this example. Zaid come to me. In Arabic, the examples always they use the name of Zaid. It's my name, and Ibn Khaldun name also Zaid. Zaid came to me in Arabic. Zaid ja'ani. Zaid ja'ani. Zaid came to me, and this phrase does not carry the same impression. Does not carry the same impression as they come to me. Ja'ani to different arrangement of in the first example, in the mind of the speaker, and in that he was thinking about Zaid. While in the second example, they speak more concerned with the act of coming, the coming. That's why they put Ja'ani Zaidun. The first one, Zaid Ja'ani. The second one is Ja'ani Zaidun. The second one, Ibn Khaldun says the speaker is more concerned on the act of coming rather than the person who comes. So this is special character of Arabic. The same principles also apply to another example where three sentences carry different meaning, although they are alike in terms of vowel ending. In terms of maybe in terms of Arab is the same. He give this example. Zaid is standing. Zaidun qa'imun. Zaid is standing. Zaidun qa'imun. That is example number one. Example number two, behold, Zaid is standing. Inna Zaidan qa'imun. Inna, they add another word. Inna Zaidan qa'imun. Example number two. Example number three, behold, Zaid is indeed standing. Inna Zaidan laqa'imun. With the additional lam. Laqa'imun. Behold, Zaid is indeed standing. Inna Zaidan laqa'imun. Three examples. Zaid is standing. Behold, Zaid is standing. Behold, Zaid is indeed standing. In Arabic, Zaidun qa'imun. Inna Zaidan qa'imun. Inna Zaidan laqa'imun. Okay. All these sentences carry different meaning. Or different purpose, or dilalah, different purpose. The first sentence, the one without emphatic particles, inform a person who has no previous knowledge. The first one, it is intended to inform a person who has no previous knowledge. Yufidul khali fi dhihni. Those who don't know anything. So we tell them that Zaidun qa'imun. Finish. Those who have Yufidul khali fi dhihni. Those who have no previous knowledge on this particular matter. While the second sentence, Zaid, inna Zaidan qa'imun. What is that meant for? What is the message that the speaker wants to convey? The second sentence is intended to inform a person who hesitates. Yufidu al-mutaraddid. Yufidu al-mutaraddid. Those who hesitate or not sure. Those who are not sure. He might have some knowledge, but not sure. So, the sentence is he put inna Zaidan qa'imun. So, to tell a person who has not clear knowledge. They might have some knowledge, but not clear. Mutaraddid means taraddud, something which is not clear. Yeah? And the third sentence, Inna Zaidan laqa'imun. You need strong expression. Inna Zaidan. Behold, Zaid is indeed standing. And this sentence is intended to inform a person who denies. Yufidul munkir. Those who deny that Zaid is standing. So, That the third sentence is Inna Zaidan laqa'imun. Emphasis to tell someone who deny or al-munkir. Certain types of expressions, well, in Arabic should not be understood literally. We cannot understand a literal meaning of the word. In some cases, the meaning has to be understood implicitly. Has to be understood implicitly. In a sentence such as, Ibn Khaldun bring this sentence, another Zaid. He always use the example. Zaid. Zaid is a lion. Zaidun asadun. Zaid is a lion. Zaid is a lion. Zaidun asadun. And it does not mean that Zaid is an actual lion. Zaid is not a lion. Although he says Zaidun asadun. Zaid is not an actual lion. The word lion here represent the character of the lion. Bravery, or something like that. Yeah. It represents the character of the lion. And the same principles also applies in the sentence, another sentence he brings that example also. Zaid has a lot of ash in his pot. Zaidun kathirur ramad al-qudur. Kathirur ramadil qudur. Which intended to indicate the implied quality of generosity and hospitality. And this figure of speech is called metaphor. Using metaphor. Yeah? Zaid has a lot of ash in his pot. That does not mean Zaid has meaning that Zaid cooks a lot. Maybe when we cook a lot, we give a lot of food to others. Things like that. Ibn Khaldun also explained that Arabic syntax and style consists of 3 subdivision of sciences. Subcategory of science, namely the science of rhetoric, al-balagha, rhetoric, the science of style, ilmul bayan, the science of theoretical figure, ilmul badi', al-ma'ani wal bayan wal badi'. Al-balagha, this ilmu bayan wal ma'ani wal badi'. The science of rhetoric deal with the investigation of forms and conclusion of speech in various situations. Whereas the science of styles deals with metaphor and metonymy, or al-isti'ara wal-kinaya. Isti'ara, metonymy. Well, what a word implies or is implied by, while the science of rhetoric figures deals with the rhetoric. The rhetoric deals with the artistic expression, artistic or embellishment of speech. We can differentiate between the person who have, the ability of using a lot of kinaya, a lot of metaphor in their speech. And he also present here, bring some example of figures and scholars who have made a very significant contribution to this, the development of this science. Yeah? He mentioned particularly Al-Jahiz and Al-Qudama. And he also mentioned again Zamakhshari in the Quran commentary. Yeah, who is based on the principle of bayan. But of course, we mentioned Zamakhshari here. The tafsir of Zamakhshari is not very well liked by Al-Sunnah or Jama'ah, because Zamakhshari is attached to Mu'tazilah in his way of thinking. Yeah, I think that's the only time we have. Finally, Ibn Khaldun reiterates that the fruits of this discipline is the inevitability of the Quran. Well, the bottom line is actually the purpose of mastering all this language, rules and grammar and bayan, al-ma'ani, al-badi, and so on, and other, aspect of Arabic language is actually to have good knowledge in this area. They will appreciate the beauty of the Quran. Not like us, we are ordinary people. We don't have that skill to understand the beauty of the expression of the Quran. Yeah? Just of Quran and the immutability of the Quran, as far as the Arabic language is concerned, cannot be challenged. That is why Quran cannot be challenged. From the day Quran was revealed until now, and until the day of judgment. And it's the highest stage of speech, and it may not only be understood by those who possess. It may only be understood the person who will be able to understand the Quran and appreciate the beauty of the Quran is those who possess the level of zawq, taste, and therefore this is the discipline that is very much needed, and it is a prerequisite for those who want to interpret the Quran, to do the as a commentator of the Quran. I think that is the time that we have. If any questions or anything that we can respond in a few minutes' time, I think I will pass it over to you, inshallah. That's only because this is quite, quite complicated. I also don't. I mean, I'm not good in Arabic. No, I also have to try myself to understand what Ibn Khaldun was trying to convey. Inshallah. So, wallahu alam. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you so much, Prof. It's a very interesting discussion. Coincidentally, we just finished our 2 days workshop on Arabic language yesterday and today. So the professor said, for a cultured man, making mistake is language is worse than having chicken pox on your face. Because making mistake in language can lead to misunderstanding. Yeah, it can create a fitna.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, having chicken pox on your face can last for a few years, but then it's not that bad. So that's why I got to Allah. Okay, we have one question from Brother Imam Kanafi. Prof, does Ibn Khaldun have a discourse analysis method that can be used to comprehensively understand the meaning of literature?
Well, not really. I don't think so, because he was only concerned about the sociology of the knowledge. But in the course of the discussion, he also seems to be very interested in going into a deeper discussion on this, like something like grammar, syntax, and style, and but basically, we were trying to understand from the sociological point of view, actually, the position of Arabic in the society. That's it. Yeah. Maybe, if for those who want to, to study theory of language, you can also use as a basis of discussion what Ibn Khaldun has explained in his book, because he was telling us what happened in that in his days, the situation of Arabic in his time. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. We wait for next week's lecture, the final one, inshallah. Doesn't mean that the end of our discussion, just a matter of time. So any final word for tonight, Prof?
Well, inshallah, next week I will be trying to summarize and try to conclude, and to present a bigger picture of what Ibn Khaldun epistemological scheme, that we can understand from we can take from the previous discussion, and then we might be able to see the bigger picture of what he is trying to convey in the Muqaddimah. Inshallah. Thank you.
Maybe next year we can organize a Ibn Khaldun study group. Those who can read papers, read books, and summarize and discuss in our small group.
That's
a small group of 20, 30 brothers and sisters. Yeah. Those who are serious in reading. Or reading classes, they call it. Yeah. So everyone read and share what they read. Yeah.
Berkitab,
berkitab. Or we can read other books related to Ibn Khaldun and we share it in our discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. We'll see you next week.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.